good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Rafael, tecnica.antica.com. Now, title of this video, support. Yeah, the big mystery, apoyo, right? What is it? How do we do it? Lately, I've been receiving quite a few emails from people sending me their recordings and, for me to assess their voices before they either take on, lessons and stuff. And yeah, dealing with my students daily, I find that there is a lot going on, and especially misconceptions about support, what it is, where do you do it, and how do you do it. I had written a script, but I had discovered after 2 takes that I'm too bad at reading and playing around with the camera. Thus, I'm just gonna improvise, and I'll try to be as brief as possible, and you already know that that's not possible. Support, what is it? Well, basically, it's what people say, breath support. And yet again, when somebody tells you that you need to learn how to breathe, that's already wrong, because as I always say, if you don't know how to breathe, you die. Now, the ideal concept would be optimize your breathing. Then I will be like in agreement. I would agree with that concept. And in fact, I believe I have other videos in which I talked about the optimal way of breathing, or how to optimize your breathing. Check them out if you want. Now, the actual mechanism of support, it's something that is very, very misunderstood, especially because I believe that people start from the bottom up instead of from the top to the bottom. And why do I say this? If you took a look at that Pari de Venturi's video I published a little while back, he talks about this sort of vacuum, this sort of inhaling, as if as you will, that constantly we hear in the Italian traditional school of singing, inhalare la voce, bere la voce. So it's all about inhaling the voice, drinking the voice. Why? Because the actual mechanism of support is leaning against the larynx. Now, that can also lead to misunderstandings, in the sense that if we rely only and alone on that mechanism, we're gonna get really, really tired. And that's what McRae back in the day would call a singing in your neck. And that's not singing with your neck, it's in it, so you don't get out of it. So if we we concentrate on leaning against the larynx to produce the tone, which is great, but you focus only and alone on that without paying attention to what the rest of your body is doing to counter effect that, what Lamperti said or described as lotta vocale, then we're gonna be in trouble. So what is the easiest and most the simplest way to explain this to you? Imagine that you have a balloon, right? And that balloon goes from basically your pelvic floor, or whatever you want to call it, all the way, not diaphragms, no, all the way to your larynx. So you have that sort of balloon right here. Now, the minute you start phonating, you're going to lean against that balloon. Now, why do I say that this balloon goes all the way to your larynx, your vocal folds? Because if you only think about this sort of diaphragm, you're missing half of it. So what happens to this? Yeah, you inhale, and then what is it? This doesn't intervene. Well, hello, the pressure is all the way from down there to up here, and then it releases. So once again, the diaphragm, it's an involuntary muscle, and there is jack you can do about it. Okay, so all this breathing management, and you have to manage your breath and all that stuff. Come on, you manage the subglottal pressure by intention. It's actually nothing voluntarily that you do there. No. And the diaphragm is going to collapse, and is going to basically stretch as you inhale and collapse as you exhale. and there is jack you can do about it. However, that intention of leaning against this is going to give you that sensation that you are supported in the sound. And it does not matter if it's an open sound or if it's a cover sound. Mind you, that sort of subglottal pressure is going to be more tangible, if you may, when you produce cover sounds. And that's also dangerous because some people do not realize that they are supporting an open sound and immediately they would jam it into a cover and thus losing the track of it and getting too tight and covering thus too early and resulting in the sound being smashed to pieces because you become really like, ingolato. All right, you run out of the runway. There are mainly two schools that deal with this nowadays, I suppose. One of them basically advocates you to squeeze, your abdominal wall either inwards, outwards, sideways, whilst phonation, so to help with it. And the other one that advocates of doing absolutely jack. Don't do anything and allow this mechanism to send the message downstairs to counterpart that. So if we take any exercise, we always start with glottal strokes. And we were doing, the first exercise, with the tongue out, for example, start on a middle C. And I produce my glottal stroke, but I remain totally relaxed. If we want something to contract, that tissue must be elastic, that's relaxed, numb, okay? And once I phonate, what happens is this bounces. So if I go here, so that movement is not done consciously. I'm not consciously squeezing. Okay, if I were to do, for example, another glottal stroke, but this time with the tongue in. There you go. And that's as little as I need to make a proper sound. Now you might say, yeah, but that's a staccato. Yeah, so what happens when you are doing, a sustained note, legato? It's exactly the same. So I'm going to perform the same note, first on a glottal stroke, and then I'm going to sustain it. Yeah. It does not, go all the way back. I'm not pulling in. It's nonsense. Honestly, how are you going to counteract this pressure if you squeeze and you push out? No, that's recipe for disaster. So what happens when you're doing a cover sound? It's exactly the same thing. So I have a glottal stroke here. This is an A flat. And again, did the belly come in more? I don't think so. It stayed sort of firm without me thinking that it had to stay firm. If you go to opposite extremes, chances are you're gonna get it wrong. So the thing is that you ideally should not need more pressure to sing any note here. So to illustrate this, I'm just gonna do an arpeggio, and then I'm gonna do two open notes, and then I'm gonna reopen. So to go to the high C, and see what happens to my body. Now, you be the judge to tell me that in that frame I did squeeze my belly with all my might to produce that note, because the answer is no. I just allow this to send the message of how much subglottal pressure I had to build to sustain that particular note. And mind you, that is auto-regulated. It's the cricothyroid that's going to stretch, the arytenoid is going to come in. Of course, there are many other systems involved, but we're just going to talk mainly about this. And that's all you need. If you do it correctly, the soft palate is gonna shoot up, larynx is gonna tilt, and there you have it. Open sounds, cover sounds, they are all supported. Mind you, when you sing open but don't spread, imagine that instead of that high C, I'm just gonna go to the F, to an F, and I'm gonna open. And this is gonna be a very open sound, quite, you know, screamy. La, no problem. So that's an open F. And again, I don't need more support or more squeeze. No, it's exactly the same. Okay? All right, well, that's all for today. So I've gone over the limit that I wanted to do. Now, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, please don't watch it, as you might get offended. And if you need help, you know where to find me. All right.